Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. Let's jump into this. So the topic today, hey Sergey, nice to see you. Okay, now this is a topic that may or may not apply to everybody, but it actually does. So the topic of the show is breathiness in singing. And so I received this question from one of my subscribers this week. He said, after discovering his vocal type was full chest, high larynx, he asked if his voice was too breathy. And so, as I recall, there was some breathiness in it, and but the predominant vocal type that was his was the full chest, high larynx. So I answered his question that the exercises for full chest, high larynx would also help correct any breathiness in his voice. And so let's talk a little bit about breathiness. What is it that causes breathiness? And it really isn't one answer. One answer is that the vocal cords aren't coming together firmly. Another word for coming together is adduct. So A-D-D-U, A-D-D-U-C-T, adduct. So by adducting, I mean this kind of, if these are your vocal cords in slow motion, they've got to come together. So I get that so the camera can see it properly. The two cords vibrate from bottom to top. And if this were slow motion, when the breathiness is usually caused by the cords not fully adducting. In other words, they really aren't making contact down low, or more particularly, they're just contacting this up here, just this upper portion. And it's possible that even in falsetto, if this was the top of the vocal cords, it would be just up here, and even then, they would just barely be coming together, just barely coming together. Now, that's the cause of the breathiness. If they are coming together fully, then they're not coming together firmly, or they're not, I compare it to holding a piece of paper. If these were your vocal cords, then if they're not coming together firmly, they easily slip out of your fingers. Whereas if they're coming together firmly, then they're it would be hard to allow anything to pass through them, okay? So there's all these variations of how firmly the vocal cords are adducting, coming together. So overall, the cause for breathiness is the vocal cords not adducting firmly. But what causes the light adduction of the vocal cords? So there's several different reasons why. Number one is maybe there's some pathology going on. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you have swollen vocal cords. So if the vocal cords are swollen, then they're not going to find the edges of each edge is going to be puffy, and it's not going to come together firmly, and so there's going to be air escaping. I guess that's the other part of the equation. The vocal cords don't come together firmly, and so what happens is more air is allowed to escape. And so if I relax my vocal cords, you can hear immediately now that there's some air passing through. Even if I keep my full voice, even if I keep talking loud, I can let a lot of air escape. And so a lot of people will be singing that way too. Their vocal cords aren't coming together firmly, and as a result, there's a lot of air coming through. If you're sick, the vocal cords can be swollen, so there's more air passing through. Even for women, their menstrual cycle will affect the vocal cords can swell, be swollen, and that can affect the breathiness of the production of their sound. There's other pathologies. By pathology, I mean there's something not normal that's being caused from an outside source. For example, maybe there's a nodule or a polyp on the cords, and that would interrupt the ability of the cords to close. And so you get an air leak, and it might sound like, ah, ah, ah. There's going to be a break right where they're normally, usually often it's where you start to bridge. There's just, you can't get the cords together because there's a bump in there that's not allowing the cords to close, and so air escapes. That's one pathology. Another pathology might be you might have acid reflux, and so the cords have had acid bathed in acid, and it erodes the surface of the vocal folds, the vocal cords, and that's called the mucosa. So the mucosal lining is eroded away, and so then you get a rough edge again, and that causes raspiness or light a breathiness. It can cause a breathiness, especially in the lower register, I've found. So nodules, reflux, swollen cords, any kind of pathology damage like that to the cord structure. But there are there's several other important reasons, probably more common. Another reason why the cords aren't coming together is because there are some people who identify with being shy. That is, they don't want to make any noise, so they speak softly. They're a soft talker. And I'm thinking of Seinfeld, and I think they talk about people who are soft talkers or mumblers. And anyway, that's probably an unfair label, but some people are just simply identify with being quiet and soft-spoken. They don't like to speak out, they don't like to speak up. And I really don't know what the reasons for that are, except that it's very hard to be a singer and be able to project your voice when you're fighting that a scene, make noise. The bad news is you've got to be out there. You've got to let yourself out, and really you have to kind of enjoy that. You kind of have to enjoy the command, the command. So shyness, quiet, a desire not to be noticed. I find this to be very common with very young female students. And I'm talking about maybe 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade. Sometimes it happens when they turn 7th, 8th grade. In fact, I've had students who are really, they're not even aware of themselves, and they come in and they're 8 years old and they just sing out. And I've had a few students who have been with me long enough that they start getting a little bit self-conscious when they get into their junior high time period. So it'd be like 13, 14 years old, 12, 13, 14, and all of a sudden they're becoming aware that, gosh, I maybe shouldn't be so strong in my voice, and they kind of quiet down. They're a little bit embarrassed to be singing out. So it's that self-consciousness, that embarrassment. There's another reason for the vocal folds being pulled apart or not adducting adequately, and that's a high larynx. And so that's very common in a sound like, if I were to say, so I just went up really through the bridge, but there's a problem, isn't there? You can hear that air escaping, and why is it escaping? Well, it's because the larynx is up. And I hear that quite frequently when I'm doing these vocal tests that you probably all have seen or taken on the home page of powertosing.com. Another presentation of the high larynx affects the sound when you go lower. The vocal cords don't adduct as well as when you go lower when the larynx is high. So I find this to be true even in my own voice. If my larynx is up, I can often hit on a good day, but if my larynx is up, like for example, if I'm in a production, if I'm in a show, and I'm in the ensemble, and so I'm singing, maybe I oversing, I sing too loud, and the larynx starts going up, and I start pulling a little bit, and then when I have to hit a low note, it's not there, and I'm wondering what's wrong. It's the larynx. The larynx is high, and it hasn't come down, and so I can't get down to the bottom. So if I don't know if I can demonstrate this or not. Let me just see. So it is harder to get down there if the larynx is up. Why? I'm not a scientist. I'm sure the scientists have the answer for it. I'm guessing that with the larynx riding higher, in order for the vocal folds to make a proper adjustment, that is, they have to shorten and they have to thicken, that they are inhibited by the larynx pulling upward, and so that prevents it. Is there an echo, Paul? Thank you. Let me see. Why is there an echo? I don't know why. Please forgive me for that. It might be my room. I don't know. I'll have to look at that. Probably have to endure it today and check on it later. I only have one microphone on and it's sitting right next to me here, so I'm not aware of what that would be at the moment. I apologize. Thank you for hanging around, you guys. Okay, so if I go higher, and this is where it presents, a lot of times it presents a problem. If the larynx is rising, and I say, the vocal cords break apart, and so you hear that air escaping, and we hear it in the form of a crack or a break or a flip, and all of a sudden now the cords can't get together because the larynx has come up and the cords have popped apart. So these are reasons or causes for breathiness. Now, what's the solution? There's a couple. The first solution, and I would say, let's just say the larynx is fine, but the cords are still not coming together. Then particularly, and this, I'm surprised how often this is the case with both men and women. You would think that maybe it would just be women or younger female singers, maybe still in grade school or early junior high, but it's not. I hear a lot of men, and I think a lot of the time with the men it's because the larynx is high, and so I'll hear a breathy vocal test and I can hear the larynx is up, and so rather than say it's light chest, no chest vocal type, I'll tell them that you have a high larynx. So, but let's first of all address the light chest, no chest. An exercise I would say is ah, 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 ah. It gets the vocal cords to come together firmly, and it also gets the larynx down a little bit. Ah, 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 ah. Now, as soon as we're able to get the chords together, ah, 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 and then na, 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 or nay, 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 nay. Too often, I'll hear a singer, they'll say, nay, 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 and they'll start singing, and it'll sound like, nay, nay, nay. So they're in the habit of letting up on the chord structure. They change the way they talk, so when they start singing, it goes breathy. We usually do that because we think that we need to do something to make our voices better. Usually that doesn't work. Most of the time we just need to allow our natural voice to continue on into singing and to melody. Okay. Now, so that na na na, you get that chord structure together. Now it's not na na or it's That gets the vocal cords together, and from that position you want to keep working. Then the other issue is getting the larynx down. There's nothing better than, well, there's several ways to do this. So I'm saying that with kind of a dopey sound. Duh. If I put my hand here in my Adam's apple and say duh, 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 it actually drops. I'm not saying duh, I'm saying duh. And then I put that with g. So the muscles below the larynx are being pulling or holding it down, and that counteracts the tendency for it to go up. So I go really, really dopey. Sometimes they call it like a stupid character on the cartoons, like I'm going to the zoo. And by getting that larynx to stay at speech level where I talk, and not up here, then I'm able to better and more easily adduct, bring the chords together in my song. Once I get that down, I might do it on different exercises. If it were up, it would sound like or then I'd want to be a little less dopey. And then maybe go on to some other exercise with the larynx still resting. The other issue is, sometimes it's working everywhere except in the bridge. And so I went through that too, where I would say, so, it'd be stronger above, it's stronger below, but right in the bridge, E, F, F sharp, and ladies, it'd be A, B flat, B, and C. Those areas we're still having trouble getting through there without going breathy. Why? The larynx is coming up. The larynx is coming up, and so I can't quite adduct the chords as well, and it goes a little bit breathy. But that will take care of itself in time. As you continue to work the exercises, you'll be able to more firmly adduct the chords as the larynx stays down. I wish you could do that the first time I showed it to you, but it usually takes a little while to get used to it. It's like learning to walk, and that's the equivalent of running. And so you can't learn to walk one day and then that afternoon run a race. It just takes a little while to develop your coordination. That's all I have to say about breathiness today. I'd like to address any questions that you guys might have, and thank you for joining me. Michael, Sergey, Stingo Rar, okay. Altug, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hi, nice to see you. M. Matamim. Yep, that's me. I barely even talk. Well, at least you understand what your situation is. That's the first step, being aware. And then it's up to you to do something about it. It's a hard thing for me to comment on a student. You're too shy. You need to be more outgoing. That's I haven't quite figured out exactly whether that's even my role as a singing teacher. Paul, not sure, but okay. So hopefully the sound on this hasn't been too distracting. I apologize. I'm going to have to investigate to find out why. Okay, so for some people there is no echo. All right. Why can't it go higher without pushing or putting pressure? That's Hamze Husseini. I think it's just habit. It's because that's the only way you've been able to sing higher without. The only way you've been able to do it is by pushing and putting pressure. And so you've got to relearn. You've got to stop old habits and relearn new habits. And that's not that. It seems like it should be easy, right? Because we all can sing. We've been singing all our lives as little kids, and isn't it just like talking? We've been talking all our lives. Why can't I just start talking differently? Why can't start talking or singing differently? So the causes for it, again, is the larynx rising. And it's easy for me to say, and I can give you exercises to get the larynx down, but it's relearning, it's accepting a new feeling, and it's relearning a new way of doing it. And that's why it's so hard. That's what makes teaching such an interesting thing, because everybody's different. Some people pick it up easier and faster, others of us don't. And so I've already addressed one exercise that helps get the larynx down, that dopey gee sound. There's a lot of different scales that you can do those on. The other exercise, this is really probably the quickest, fastest. If I said, this is in the women's register here, it would be like, see if I can do it up to the E flat. It's hard for me when I have a little bit of a facial hair. So I just went up to the high E flat without the larynx going up. So that bubble lip, Hamse, that bubble lip is really a great way to start feeling a different coordination. You could also do a tongue draw. The larynx is staying down, so I'm going up way high, and I'm not pushing it, I'm not putting pressure on it. So that's a great beginning exercise to start feeling the way it could be, the way it should be. Of course, we can't sing that way, right? Or, whatever an anthem might be from your country. So, do the bubble lip, do the tongue twirl, and it's a great way to start feeling it. Is there an order in which the vowels must be practiced? No, there's no special order in the vowels, but what is special about the vowels is that they stay, is that we don't splat them. So when we're singing, if I said, now this is in the United States. Some of you may have, from out of the country, aren't familiar with the words, but the Star Spangled Banner, if I said, and the rocket's red glare, if I sang that way, it's very likely that I would crack. So if I said, and the rocket's red glare, there are vowels there that I can take and narrow so they don't splat. And I could change it to ruckets rid glib. If I were thinking ruckets rid glib, and the ruckets red glare. So by just taking the vowel and narrowing it down from to and the rockets red glare, glare, with an R on it, and the rocket, and the rockets red glare. So by taking a vowel that could splat and narrowing it a little bit when it's in that bridge of the voice, then that's the important thing. There doesn't have to be an order in the practice of the vowels. Well, there is a point at first where you don't want to start out by trying to do a wide open vowel. If I said, that's probably more advanced than I would have a brand new student do. So, to your point, and to answer your question better than I have, yes, we want to start with more closed vowels. Ooh, oh, ee, to help develop the coordination first. And then we go to more open vowels. So thank you for teaching me. As I thought about it, it's better to start with a more closed or narrow vowel and then go to the more open. Matamim. We'll do this when everyone is awake and out. They're sleeping now. Okay. Any tips for transferring the exercises into song? Yeah. So just like on that, this will take the example of a Star Spangled Banner. I could say, mum, 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 nay, 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 no, 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 no. So I could take one of the exercises and substitute it in for the words, and then when it's holding, if it's not, if let's say I was cracking there, now it's not cracking because I've used those exercises, then I go back and put the words back in. And the rockets are red glare. So that's a really great way you take the exercises that you're doing correctly, where you're not pulling chest, where the vocal cords are staying adducted, substitute that exercise in for the melody, and then go back in. Once that's solidifying and you're doing it well and it feels good, to go back in and put the words in. If it's still troublesome, it's likely that you may have to look at the vowels in the words and modify those or narrow them down. And there, you can search that on my website, powertosing.com, in the Knowledge Center, in the category drop-down, search the word vowels, and there'll be some guidelines there for you to follow. Ivan, when I can't hit the note cleanly because it's too high when practicing scales, let me just, can't quite see all of that, just a minute. Ivan, when I can't hit the note cleanly because it's too high when practicing scales, those notes should not be sang. Well, it depends, Ivan. Some people would stop right at the bridge, and the point is to be able to learn how to go through the bridge. On the other hand, maybe we're just singing songs that we don't need to sing quite as high, or doing exercises quite as high. But most of the exercises that I've given, like on my website, that are free downloads, I've put them within a range where if you're going to make progress, we need to get those notes. So there's a couple strategies there. One is that you could do it as suggested a minute ago. You could change the word. Let's just say that you're saying Maybe mum, 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 and you find out that mum, mum, mum for some reason is not working. Maybe you're not doing it right. Go back to the one you can do. No, 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 no. Now let's suppose I was saying no, 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 no. I was falling in the crack. So that's where I may want to stand. And so I'm going to go out of the picture here a second, I think. So if my, I got to take my low breath. So I fill up with air, and then I pull it in when I'm going for that note. No, 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 no. A lot of times that will help me hit the note. And sometimes it's just a matter of hitting the note. Another way of doing it is to stand and bend over. So if I say, no, 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 and bend down and look at the floor. Look at the floor while you're doing it. Those are 3 strategies to help you get those notes. But what you don't want to do is strain or pull chest voice. You want to make sure that you're doing them correctly. And those little tips will help you. If I can hit the note from the exercise, but only loudly, should that also be left until I can sing it cleanly with less loudness? There's a balance. If you just did it a little bit more firmly and you got the note, that's one thing. But if you really had to strain, that's different. If you had to reach or squeeze, that's different. And so I think it's always best, if you can, to do it a little bit easier. And the easiest you can do it and have it hold and work, that's probably a good place to be starting. If you have to go a little more firmly for the note to hold, as long as you're doing it correctly, then that's probably all right. But if you have to do it really hard, and you know you're squeezing or you're straining or you're reaching, then it's probably something that it could probably be corrected. But that's one of those situations where I'd have to hear it. I'd have to hear what word you're on, and I could probably help you with that. But that would probably be in a lesson setting. When I can't hit the note without shouting. Yeah, no shouting. If you can't hit it without shouting, then you need to not do that until you can do it without shouting. So usually it's a vowel spreading. No, 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 no. Or that's usually what it is. You're just pulling the chest voice up and the larynx is rising. That's almost always the reason why we can't hit it. But that being said, there comes a point where even my range starts to give out. If I try and hit the high C sharp, I can do it. Well, that's the high F sharp, and you can hear it starting to fall in the crack. But I'm a bass. Ma, ma, ma. So, ma, 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 ma. So, for me to go up to F sharp, would I ever sing up there? No, but the point is, eventually, I can go high enough that it doesn't support my tessitura, it doesn't support my the heft in my voice. There's just, some of us shouldn't be that high up, and some of us can't be down low. So you do have to take into consideration what your upper and lower extremities are. That being said, probably you could do much more than you think if the larynx is staying down. Okay, so we're getting to the close here. Is it normal that it feels uncomfortable when I am diaphragmatic breathing? No, it's not normal. You shouldn't feel it at all. You shouldn't feel holding back the breath. I don't hold back breath. So Stingo Rar, go to my website, watch episode 15 and 16. And that goes into a lot of detail on this diaphragmatic breathing. Anybody has any questions on it, there are 2 really good videos, and it shows you how to do that so that there's no tension and no pressure. In fact, it should be completely relaxed. At first it's awkward, but once you get into the habit of it, then you don't even really think about it, and there shouldn't be any tension, any pressure. Okay, well, thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad that you were here. We've gone 35 minutes. I think we're going to call it today. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing. This is Power to Sing Live number 19. Thank you for joining me. You can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power. And if you like this video or the other videos on my YouTube channel, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate that very much. And then for sure, each of you, if you have not gotten your vocal type, and I've mentioned this several times today, go to powertosing.com on the homepage, take the vocal test, and get your vocal type. Once you find your vocal type, then go to the Knowledge Center and watch all those videos on pole chest, high larynx, light chest, no chest, flip falsetto, or mix. Download the free exercises, start working on them. They'll be helpful. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you inside the next video or live broadcast. Thanks. See you soon.